You've probably been a bit suspicious for a while. Maybe you've seen some sort of debunking online, and you get it now that languages aren't just pew, quick, fast, easy all the time. But what if they actually could be? Hi, I'm Lindsay, a language learning expert passionate about helping you learn languages so you can speak fearlessly, trust your language gut, and master your process. Because when you can do that, you can focus on the big, juicy dreams that language learning gives you. In this video, I'm going to share how you can learn a language from scratch fast. Yes, really, I am not about false promises over here. But before we get into it, fast language learning does not start by spending hours picking your resources. I've done that bit for you. So you should totally head to the link in the description to get my free ultimate language resource list. This is huge. Hundreds of languages, over 1,000 resources, almost 2,000 resources listed. You're going to find something to get you started. You're going to save yourself hours of time. And you'll be very, very thankful that you can spend that time learning the language that you want. Get it now at the link in the description or lindsaydoeslanguages.com/list. So the first thing we need to think about if we want to learn a language from scratch fast is we need to fit it in everywhere. This cannot be something that lives separate to the rest of your life. It can't be like you live your week and you do your thing and then just for like 3 hours on a Sunday, I forgot to do it. I'm just going to cram in all my language learning. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be something that you remember. We need to do more efficient stuff so that it's much more productive throughout the time, everywhere in your week. And of course, when I say everywhere, I don't mean literally every single thing you do has to now be a language learning activity. But there's nothing wrong with that if that's the way you want to take it. What I do mean is using things like habit stacking, habit chaining. So that's when you think about the habits that already exist. What can you do at the same time? Or what can you do before or after? All of that kind of stuff. And then having planned and unplanned study time. So when I say planned study time, I don't necessarily mean hours. Like I said, the hours on a Sunday afternoon when you've forgotten to do everything for the rest of the week. That's not what we're talking about here. What I mean is it's just 10 minutes in the morning, just before or after you've had your breakfast, something where you can sit down and it is dedicated to your language learning. Sometimes it will be beneficial for some people to have this as dedicated to a specific activity or a specific tool or resource that you want to use. But for others, it's going to be a case of just having the time blocked out and then deciding what you feel like doing on that day that's, within the realm of productive stuff, right? And then as well as that planned time, we need to have unplanned study time. So what can sometimes happen is people get really hung up on the planning and then it feels like, oh, I've got a bit of free time, but I didn't plan for this. So I can't learn languages because that would be going against my plan. No, fill it in, do it all. If you've got some extra time, do it. If you end up stood in a 10-minute queue at the post office, whip your phone out, do some Duolingo, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Add in all those unplanned stuff as well. That's when we begin to fit your language learning in everywhere. And that's how we're going to get there faster. So personally, the way that I do this is I have loose chunks of time in the day. So I know that I'm much better at doing this stuff in the morning. It makes me feel good and productive for the rest of the day. So I have some time in the morning that I typically dedicate to my language learning. And sometimes if I'm going for a deadline or I'm on one specific language, I'll know exactly what I'm going to be doing. And sometimes I still try to keep that time there, even if there's no real big goal with my languages at that moment in time. I'll still have the time and I'll still sit down and be like, what do I feel like doing today? What do I want to do? What language do I want to explore? Do you know what I mean? And so just having that is really, really helpful. And then often there's those moments in the day where, maybe you've set the computer on a task and you're waiting for it to load or upload or download or whatever, and you've got a few minutes, then maybe I'll do something on an app. Or maybe sometimes something I try to do a lot is when I wake up first thing in the morning and my alarm is on my phone, if I turn that off, I try to get into that habit of then opening the notes app, right? Because then I can write something in my focus language, write a little sentence, and I've done something. I've just touched base. I've started it, right, in the right manner rather than open the phone. What's going on in the news, right? So that's something that I try to do as well. So then you can see having this kind of planned but loose structured time is what's working for me. But like I say, it might be that you want that planned time to be really, really rigid, really, really structured, but then making sure as well that you've got unplanned stuff going on as well. So it fits in everywhere. And I feel like out of all of the things I'm going to share with you in this video, this is the one that is the most personal. So I'm wondering, what does this look like for you? Do you love those long, lengthy study sessions or into the micro learning on the go? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious how different we all are on this front, because I think this is one of the core things that we need to think about more when we think about language learning, and the advice that we share and that we take on for ourselves is just how much is this accounting for those personal differences that we all have. The second thing that we need to think about when we want to learn a language from scratch fast is what I'm calling the language loop. So one of the things that really, really slows us down is when we go kind of gung-ho with all the resources. We like bring in everything. We think, well, that looks like a great course and that has really good reviews and this, da-da-da-da. And all of the things are teaching us in a slightly different way. So we're maybe getting some repetition, and especially right at the beginning, but maybe like after chapter 3, after that kind of like chapter 3-ish level, things really start to go in different directions, depending on what the resource is, who its kind of target audience is, right? And so what often happens is then the more, after we've got the basics down, things just go all over the place. So what we need is to bring in the language loop. So what that means is, well, you know this already, right? The idea of the 4 core language skills. We've got reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And then we can split these into 2 groups, input and output. So on the input side, we've got reading and listening, that's language going in. And on the output side, we've got speaking and writing, that is language going out, you creating and producing the language for yourself, right? Now, a lot of advice for fast language learning only focuses on speaking. And that is really, really hard when we're not thinking about any input, when we are just very hyper-focused on one thing, and especially if there's very little in that focus on the how-to and like the confidence side of things. There's a lot of mindset gumph that comes up when we are just wanting to speak and we don't know a language fully. Like, that isn't always easy, right? We need to really think about our mindset and what we're doing. We're in a very vulnerable position when we are speaking a language that we do not know well, right? Very vulnerable. It's such a brave thing to do. A lot of stuff that talks about learning fast, just go out, speak, do the thing, you get fluent fast. And I don't think that's it. So with the language loop, the idea is that we are taking language in, we're reading and we're listening, and we're not just ending there. We're taking that and we're giving it output, right? So what goes in must come out, if we want to say it like that. So reading and listening is the input. We then do output with that. So we then speak and we write the stuff that we have just taken in, the stuff that we have just learned, the vocab that you've just picked up on your app. We're then going to create some output with that. So we create this loop, because then the reason that it's a loop and not just a line is that once we've done our speaking and writing, we've given ourselves an extra chance to remember it. When we then see it again, we get more input of that language, we're more likely to remember it. We can then practice it again until it just becomes easy. Like, this is so, so good. This is just this one little change to make things much faster and to grow in confidence is to speak what comes in, right? To practice with what you've been doing, and then you'll see it again and it creates this loop. I love this. It deserves its own video. We'll talk about it at some other point in much more detail. And if you're thinking, well, I don't have anyone to speak with, right? Like, people always talk about speak, but I don't have anyone to speak with. Solo speaking habit. So when you have a solo speaking habit, you are not waiting for your next lesson. You're not waiting for, when you find a meetup or when you feel brave enough to book a lesson or to go to that meetup. You are speaking to yourself. The way that I always talk about this is, imagine if, for some reason I always think of someone playing the piano, but imagine, let's say Taylor Swift, right? Did the Eras tour. It was huge. Imagine if she didn't rehearse. Like, just night one, she just goes out there. She's like, yeah, I know these songs. I wrote these songs, and she just winged it. Like, would the Eras tour have been as good if Taylor Swift did not rehearse? Very quick and easy answer is no way. And it's the same with us when we're learning a language? We need to practice. And we need to practice in a place that feels safe, that feels supportive and comfortable. Taylor Swift didn't do the practice in the arena when everyone is there watching, because that isn't safe and comfortable, right? She did the practice initially in a small space, and then on the stage with an empty arena, and then the performance, full arena, lights and everything, right? Same for us. So practice on your own, in your room, repeat the stuff, do the language loop, right? Take the stuff in, speak it solo, and then gradually it increases and you can do more, you can say more, and you can then speak with people as soon as you're ready, right? There's no magic figure of like, oh yeah, and you need to be speaking with people on this day or by that week or by that month, like whenever you are ready. And sometimes, the sort of your comfort zone thing of like, your comfort zone is here and here's where the magic happens. All the way over there. No. Your comfort zone is here and the magic, it's like an elastic band. It starts to happen here, just outside of it. Then you can stretch a bit more and then a bit more and then a bit more. Because if we pull that elastic band and we stretch and go all the way over to where people typically think the magic happens, that's a big stretch. And we're going to ping that elastic band back. It's like, your comfort zone is shattered, right? So we don't want that. So we have to do this safely and comfortably. And the third thing we need to think about when we want to learn a language from scratch fast is do not ignore yourself. Don't ignore you. You need to be at the very center of your whole language learning experience, because if you're not, it's going to feel off. You're going to feel uncomfortable. It isn't going to last, right? You need to be at the absolute core of the whole thing. So consider what you want from this. What do you want to be able to do? How do you want to learn? How do you see this fitting in with your life now? And then by the time you can speak a bit more, what is the person that you want to become from all of this? You really need to put you in the middle, because that is what's going to shape the way that you go about this. And it's really funny because when we think about learning something fast and learning a language fast, the default is, okay, I need to learn hundreds and thousands of words, just drill them in, ding, 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 ding. I'll work on the me stuff later, or, all of that stuff, I'll do it later. But actually that's doing yourself like the biggest disservice, because you need to work on that stuff now, because then you're going to know what your triggers are, what your little buttons are, the stuff that you love, the stuff that you don't love, the stuff that gets you annoyed with your language learning. You need to know all of that stuff, right? Because otherwise, the minute that the thousands of words, the very intense learn, drill, falls off the rails, you're going to start to think the problem. No, you're not the problem. The problem is that you didn't know what the problem was. You didn't know that doing that for so long wasn't going to work for you because A, B, C, X, Y, Z, whatever the reason is, right? The reason itself is kind of not important, but the fact is it will happen. You won't be able to keep up that very intense, I need to learn fast, so it has to be lots. No one is able to maintain it. So you have to think, okay, well, what am I like as a human, as a learner? What do I want to do? How can I make this fast for me? And you really need to consider yourself, because when you don't, like I say, that's when it's all going to fall apart. I'm talking about things like self-compassion, which is exactly why that is chapter 1, in fact, pre-chapter 1 in Language Life. I'm talking about mindset. I'm talking about reviews. If you're not reviewing, if you're just going forward and not taking a moment to pause every now and then and go, okay, is everything good? Is everything good? You're going to break down. Think about it, right? If you have a car and you don't take it for its annual service, the car's going to break down. You don't know what's wrong with it until it's too late. But if you check in with it from time to time and make sure, the wheels are still good, the engine is still running, I don't know, car fanatic over here, Jeremy Clarkson, then right? Think of those regular reviews with your language learning like a car service. You need to know what's going on now to avoid problems down the road. Because language learning should not be stressful. It shouldn't be that you're drill. Oh, now I'm exhausted. Like, that doesn't sound fun. No wonder people give up on this, right? It does not have to be that way. Language learning should be fun. Is just one part of that. It should be the 3 Fs. So fun, yes, flexible also, and functional. We want this to actually work. This isn't just playtime, right? This is something that's going to give you a very, very cool skill. In fact, I was talking to a client in Language Life about this recently who said that she loves the 3 Fs But the thing that she really gets stuck on, because the whole point is, right, you ask yourself these 3 questions. Is it fun? Is it flexible? Is it functional? So when you're reviewing, when you're checking in, you can be asking yourself that about the activities you're doing, your routine, the resources. Same 3 questions, whatever aspect you're looking at, right? Is it fun? Is it flexible? Is it functional? And if you hit all 3, yes, 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 it's good. Keep going. If there's like 2 and 1 is kind of off, we need to switch. We need to make some adjustments. We need to swap something out. Or if it's like 1 or 0, we can stop and we can scrap it completely and then start something new, right? And she said that the thing that's really difficult for her is picking a new one and starting a new one, because she wants something that is analog, that is offline. And that stuff is really fun for her, like reading and stuff, right? But the phone is really flexible. And so I said, okay, here's what we need to do. We need to make that analog offline stuff more flexible. We need to make it as flexible as the phone. So what is stopping us from having that be as flexible as the phone? And then when you talk through it, you realize like, okay, what are the hurdles? What is the friction that is making it not as flexible as we want it to be? And in this case, it's thinking about, okay, well, maybe I have the book in the wrong place. Like it can be so simple, right? Maybe the book, rather than on the shelf, needs to be by your bedside or in your bag that you carry around when you go on your commute and on the public transport or whatever. So those little tweaks, it can be so simple, and it just makes everything work so much better because you're thinking about you. You're centering yourself. Now, like I mentioned earlier, step 1 is picking something to use to get you started. When you want to learn fast, you do not want to waste time picking the resource. It can be fun. I get it. It's like kind of shopping around, deciding what is going to be good for you. I get that it can be fun, but it can also be a real time suck and just such a waste of time, because I've done this for you. I have the list and you can have the list for free. So if you head to the link in the description, lindsaydoeslanguages.com/list, you'll be able to sign up for free to get access to the ultimate language resource list. This is so huge. There's hundreds of languages. This is something that I kind of go in and update and add more to and delete the old links and stuff like that every now and then. It's big, right? And it's going to save you so much time. And maybe you're thinking, oh, I've heard about this before. Did you have this? Yeah, I did. I used to have this. It was a Google Sheets. It was great, but it was a bit difficult to navigate. And each tab was its own language. You had to scroll across. Now it's in Airtable. It is much easier to use. It is searchable. You can filter, you can sort, you can group, you can adjust things so you can see just what's available for the language you want to learn. You don't have to sift through all of these thousands of resources. You can type in like a name, like if you feel that there's something that's really, really good, you can just check if that's on there and then see what else is there for that language or for the level. You can filter by the level, by the type of resource, everything. Honestly, you're going to love this so, so much. lindsaydoeslanguages.com/link. This is the best thing that you need to get started, especially fast, because it's going to save you all that time, right? You're going to love this. So grab the list, let me know what you think, and I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment and tell a friend. All of those things really, really help to let YouTube know, oh, okay, I see you like this. We're going to show this to more people like you. And I really appreciate it. All right. Speak to you soon.